Explanation of the book, The Greatness Mindset by Lewis Howes. The book, The Greatness Mindset, is a comprehensive guide for anyone seeking to reach their maximum potential and achieve success in various aspects of life. Lewis Howes explains in this book a set of basic principles that he extracted from his personal experience and from his meetings with successful people in various fields, such as sports, business, arts, and self-development. The main idea in the book is that greatness is not limited to a certain category of people, but anyone can achieve it if they follow a set of principles and commit to applying them in their daily life. Who is Lewis Howes? Lewis Howes was not born successful or rich, but rather began his life as a child, suffering from poor academic achievement, and was classified as unable to learn in school. He had a dream of becoming a professional American football player, and devoted his life to achieving this dream. However, he suffered a serious injury to his wrist during a game, which forced him to retire early. He suddenly found himself jobless, aimless, and bankrupt. He lived in his sister's house for several months, frustrated and hopeless. But he decided not to give up. He began searching for success stories, learning from successful people, and connecting with people who could help him rebuild his life. Through this experience, he discovered the principles that changed his life, which he presents in this book to help others achieve success as well. Basic principles of the book. In his book, Lewis Howes reviews 8 basic principles that he sees as essential to achieving success and greatness in life. These principles are inspired by his interviews with successful people and his personal experience in overcoming hardships and difficulties. The first principle, having a clear vision for the future. No one can achieve success if they do not have a clear vision of where they want to go. Great people start by drawing a clear picture of the future they want, and then work hard to achieve it. How do you apply this principle in your life? 1. Define what you want clearly. It is not enough to say, "I want to succeed," but define in detail what success means to you. 2. Write down your vision. Writing helps to consolidate the vision in your mind and makes it more realistic. 3. Divide the vision into stages. Do not try to achieve everything at once, but rather make a gradual plan to reach your goal. 4. Use mental imagery. Imagine yourself achieving the success you want and feel it as if it has already been achieved. An inspiring story from the book. The writer tells the story of one of his friends who started his life from scratch, but he had a clear vision that he wanted to become one of the most famous content creators in the world. He started with small steps and published his videos despite the lack of views, but he continued until he achieved the success he dreamed of. The second principle, turning hardships into opportunities. All successful people have gone through difficulties and challenges, but they did not let them stop them, but rather used them as opportunities for growth and development. How do you apply this principle in your life? 1. Change your view of problems. Instead of looking at the problem as an obstacle, ask yourself, how can I learn from it? 2. Don't give up easily. Successful people use failure as an incentive to continue, not as a reason to stop. 3. Use difficulties to your advantage. Sometimes difficulties are an opportunity to rethink your decisions and improve your plans. Inspiring story from the book. Lewis Howes himself faced a great ordeal when he lost his sports career due to injury, but he did not give up. Instead, he started looking for other opportunities, learned new skills, and built his career again until he became one of the most successful figures in the field of self-development. The third principle, developing a champion's mindset. The mindset you have determines how successful you will be. Great people do not allow fear or doubt to control them, but rather believe in their abilities and work hard to achieve their goals. How to develop a champion's mindset. 1. Believe in yourself even when others doubt you. 2. Don't be afraid of failure, but consider it part of the journey. 3. Focus on your strengths and work to improve them constantly. 4. Surround yourself with positive people who encourage you. Inspiring story from the book. The writer tells the story of a famous basketball player who used to train daily for long hours, even on days when he felt exhausted. He believed that a strong mindset is what distinguishes a successful player from others. The fourth principle, Hard work and discipline. No one can reach the top without making an exceptional effort. Success does not come easily, but rather requires continuous commitment and discipline. How do you apply this principle in your life? 1. Set your priorities. Do not waste your time on things that do not benefit you. 2. Set a clear schedule and stick to it. 3. Do not postpone work. Procrastination is the biggest enemy of success. Inspiring story from the book. The writer talks about an entrepreneur who started his life with a very small project, but worked hard for many years until he became one of the most famous figures in his field. Principle 5. Build a strong network. Success is not achieved alone, but with a team of people who support you. How to build successful relationships. 1. Be honest and open in your dealings with others. 2. Find people who share the same ambition. 3. Don't be afraid to ask for help when needed. Inspiring story from the book. Lewis Howes himself benefited greatly from the relationships he built, as he got great opportunities through the people he met on his journey to success. Principle 6. Living with a spirit of gratitude and positive thinking. The more you are grateful for what you have, the more chances you have to achieve more success. How to practice gratitude. 1. Write down 3 things you are grateful for every day. 2. Focus on what you have instead of what you lack. 3. Avoid negative thinking and comparisons. Conclusion. How to achieve greatness in your life? The Greatness Mindset is not just a motivational book. It is a practical plan for anyone who wants to achieve success. If you adhere to these 8 principles and apply them in your daily life, you will be able to reach your full potential and achieve the greatness in your field. I will now provide examples and real stories from the book that illustrate how successful people have applied the principles that Lewis Howes talks about in the Greatness Mindset. I will present 1 or more stories for each of the 8 principles with a detailed analysis of each story. Principle 1. Have a clear vision for the future. The story of Nick Vujicic, the man who was born without limbs and achieved the impossible. Lewis Howes tells the story of Nick Vujicic, a man who was born without arms or legs. Since childhood, he suffered from bullying and frustration due to his disability, but at an early age, he decided to be successful in his own way. How did he have a clear vision? Instead of focusing on his disability, he decided to become a motivational speaker who helps others overcome their challenges. He set himself the goal of traveling the world and inspiring millions of people. Today, Nick is one of the most famous motivational speakers in the world, and he has inspiring books and lectures that help people overcome their difficulties. Lesson learned. No matter your circumstances, you can create a successful future if you have a clear vision and a plan to achieve it. Principle 2. Turn adversity into opportunity. The story of Oprah Winfrey. From a tough childhood to a media queen in Mir, Lewis Howes tells the story of Oprah Winfrey, who grew up in an environment full of poverty and abuse. She faced tremendous difficulties in her childhood, but she did not give up. How did she turn adversity into opportunities? Instead of remaining a victim of her circumstances, she decided to use her difficult experiences as a driving force for success. She started working as a news anchor, then moved on to presenting her own show that changed the lives of millions. Today, Oprah is one of the most influential women in the world and has built a huge media empire. Lesson learned. Difficulties do not mean the end of the road, but they can be a new beginning if you decide to use them to your advantage. The third principle, developing a champion's mindset, the Kobe Bryant story. The secret to the success of one of the greatest basketball players. The book tells how Kobe Bryant, the famous basketball star, had a unique mindset that made him one of the greatest athletes in history. How did he develop a champion's mindset? He would wake up at 4 a.m. every day to train, even when there were no games. He was not afraid of failure, but rather saw it as an opportunity to learn and grow. He would study his competitors' games deeply until he found their weaknesses and exploited them to his advantage. Lesson learned. The right mindset is what makes the difference between ordinary people and champions. The fourth principle, hard work and discipline. The Gary Vaynerchuk story. From a small family store to a self-made millionaire. Lewis Howes talks about the story of Gary Vaynerchuk, an entrepreneur who started his life by helping his father in a small wine store. How did he commit to hard work? Instead of just running the store as it was, he decided to use the internet to expand the business. He started filming educational videos about wine and helped turn the family store into a huge brand. He continued to work for years without stopping until he became one of the most famous entrepreneurs in the world. Lesson learned: success is not just an idea, but the result of years of continuous work and discipline. The fifth principle: building a strong network of relationships. The story of Tony Robbins. How did he build his success through his relationships? The book mentions how Tony Robbins, one of the most famous motivational trainers in the world, did not reach the top alone, but by building strong relationships with successful people. How did he benefit from relationships? In his early days, he looked for successful role models and learned directly from them. He worked as an assistant to another motivational speaker and benefited from his experience and knowledge. Over time, he himself became an influential figure, and he developed a network of relationships with the most powerful businessmen and celebrities. Lesson learned: surround yourself with positive and successful people, and you will find that your chances of success become greater. Principle 6. Living with gratitude and positive thinking. Jim Carrey's story, how gratitude changed his life. Lewis House mentions the story of the famous actor, Jim Carrey, who was very poor at the beginning. How did he use gratitude and positive thinking? Despite his poverty, he used to write himself a check for $10 million every day and keep it as if he had already received it. He imagined himself successful and felt grateful in advance as if his dream had come true. Years later, he got his first big movie role, and his first salary was $10 million. Just as he imagined. Lesson learned: positive thinking and gratitude can be the key to attracting success into your life. Principle 7. Continuous learning and self-development. Elon Musk's story. How did he learn by himself and build his companies? The book mentions how Elon Musk did not have a background in rocketry, but he founded a spacecraft manufacturing company. How did he invest in learning? He wasn't an expert in rocket engineering, but he read hundreds of books on the subject. He reached out to experts in the field and asked them questions to learn from them. Today, his company SpaceX is one of the most powerful space companies in the world. Lesson learned: education doesn't stop at school or university, it continues throughout life. Principle 8. Serve others and make a positive impact. The story of Muhammad Yunus, the man who changed the lives of the poor through microloans. The book talks about Muhammad Yunus, who won the Nobel Prize for his unique idea of providing small loans to the poor to help them start their own businesses. How did he make a positive impact? He noticed that the poor couldn't get loans from banks, so he founded a private bank for them. He provided very small loans, but they helped thousands start their businesses and improve their lives. His idea spread globally and helped millions of people. Lesson learned: greatness is not only in achieving personal success, but in helping others as well. Conclusion. As you can see, the greatness mindset is not just a collection of advice. It is full of inspiring stories about real people who transformed their lives from failure to success. Every principle in the book can be applied practically. And if you stick to these principles, you can achieve greatness in your life too.